What's going on, everyone? And welcome to the Paddock, a Formula One podcast for new fans and the familiar. It's a bye week, so we're going to pop into the pit lane and get to know everyone. So, this week, Gio, tell us about yourself.
No, real quick, I'm your Paddock co-host, new age F1 fan, race debrief guru, and an analysis enthusiast. And if that translates to anything, I kind of know nothing. I'm new to the sport, been loving it ever since, and I'm just in for the ride, and all driven by passion. No technical specs on my side. All my knowledge comes from documentaries and the last couple of years of Formula One. So if you talk to me about anything before 2018, 2017, I'm lost. I got to Google it. But I'm here for it to get educated by everybody and the cat. But yeah, no. How about you, Ray? Say hi to
Well, you know what? R.I.P. Paul Walker, because he got me into my car obsession. I come here from Fast and the Furious, having also just a background in sports, but I've always been a car aficionado. So you blend that love for watching Fast and Furious with Drive to Survive, and here we are. I'm here to be those new eyes and help really just talk about all the moments, exciting moments here.
Hey, Ray, listen, I finally saw Fast and the Furious 9 on an airplane the other day, and I have to talk to you for about 3 hours about this.
We're going to space, all right?
Jesus Christ. Will, say hi to the listeners.
Hey guys, yep, I'm Will. I'm down in Adelaide, South Australia, and I guess I can say I'm as part of our podcast group. I guess I can say I'm the historian. I've also got my cat Esmeralda here. That as soon as she hears the camera, she just loves getting involved. So yeah, I've been a Formula One fan my whole life. I think ever since about 1988 or 1987 when I watched my first race, I think it was. So yeah, I guess I bring the history to the podcast, all the crazy things that have happened over the years, and all the changes in technology and engines and cars and tracks. Yeah, that's where I sort of fit into the group. What about you, Pete?
Mm-hmm.
Cheers, Will. I'm from Adelaide as well, like Will. I'm a F1 fan since my 20s. I'm the type of person when I get into something, I dive right into the deep end. I love the technical updates. I love the news. I like hearing the little rumours and stories around the paddock. I think that's a great way to start the news for this week.
Oh yeah.
Between us recording last week and us dropping the podcast, the new track, Las Vegas. Boys,
Viva
Yes.
Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas. Before we jump, I always got to credit. I do got to credit Will for putting me on this Formula One journey. So I do. Before we go any further, the credit goes to Will for his time in the States, of him getting up at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. And watching Formula One races, and me scratching my head around it, like, why on earth would you get up that early to do that? So I do want to stress the point. If it wasn't for Will, I don't think I would have had the interest. But it's there. But anyway, back to Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Not since 1981 have we had a Formula One circuit in Las Vegas. The last time we had a race was in it was called the Caesar's Palace Grand Prix, and I can quiz you guys, and I'm pretty sure you guys know who won that race. Fellow Aussie. Do you remember who? Will?
Alan Jones. Yeah.
Alan Jones.
Alan Jones. But
Nice.
if you compare it to what the track looks like now, it was bite size. It was 75 laps, a condensed track that I don't think would pass as a track now at all. It was just this, it reminds me of something you'd get in a training course in Gran Turismo. But but Americans are excited. This makes the third U.S. Grand Prix. We have Austin, we have Miami coming in May, and now we have the Vegas Grand Prix in 2023. I personally am excited for it. I think Vegas, yeah, as a street course, fits perfectly. You know, going down the strip, all this stuff. It's gonna be a beautiful night race. Uh, I know that this sent a lot of European fans into you know, a little bit. Not everyone was so receptive, but I'm a fan of it. What are your thoughts?
Well, is it true that we're going to lose Spa because of this
Oh, I
one,
hope
or
That's a rumor. They better not drop Spa. Spa's my favorite track on the calendar. Hopefully, it might be the French Grand Prix.
Okay.
That's the other one.
okay?
That's on the
Is that
chopping block,
why
so-
everyone's so upset in your? I mean, I think it's just going to look gorgeous at night.
Yep.
I love a night race, and I think under those Vegas lights, I'm just excited to see that. They need to have their drone work on point when they shoot that, and it's just going to be exciting to see. I think I want to go to that. I think it's going to be a fun night. I think it's going to be reverberating through that city, all that sound and energy. I do, I kind of wish they would do New York, but hey, I'm happy for Vegas. I'll fly out there.
It's gonna be crazy, isn't it? But I hope it's not substituting Belgium. I mean, I think that'll be that could start a war just there. Not having Spa on the F1 on the calendar, there'll be anarchy. And I did see during the week that someone posted on Facebook, here's the race calendar for 2026, and the race calendar was all the states of America. That's the tracks. So, yeah.
Yep.
Come to English Town.
Well, you know what? No, I'd go opposite of that, because I think the draw for us for Formula One, that it is such a European sport.
Yeah.
Right. It feels so much cooler than what the U.S. can give us. Right. Like, again, if we can't cross into NASCAR territory, because I'm going to get jumped if I ever go to Indianapolis or something. But NASCAR it doesn't feel exclusive. Doesn't feel just doesn't feel fancy enough for me.
Yeah.
Formula One gives that.
Yeah.
I definitely like to keep 3 is pushing it. 3 U.S. Grand Prix is pushing it. I would happily replace Miami. But think about it. Where the last couple of years, Formula One has just broken to the U.S. market. It's bringing so much money, so much attention. Financially, business-wise, it makes sense. You go to the money locations, right? Vegas is great because it's primed to house a Formula One race, right? If you ever gone to Vegas, it's just Vegas. Outside of it, nothing else, right?
Yeah.
2 strips,
Yeah,
and then you're kind of on an island. I like Vegas because they didn't do the whole kind of what Miami did. Hey, let's build this in a parking lot kind of thing.
But with VIP drinks,
little yacht club. They have this yacht lake in there, but it just makes sense business wise. You're breaking into a U.S. market. You're trying to make that American money. Vegas is a good spot, and I disagree with Ray. Manhattan would be a logistical nightmare if we'd ever decide to do something.
Right. But it would be like chaos, it would be hilarious. I do want to piggyback on your one point though, where you said that it feels like unique to have that European flair to it, because what excited me watching every single race Sunday, we're seeing the prelude to the race, the race walk, and what each country brings to it. There's all these pre-race events. You go to the Red Bull Ring and you've got these planes flipping backwards and stuff like that. And then you've got the Dutch national anthem being sung in front of some of them. So I find each one of those different aspects that the countries bring to be fascinating. And I don't know if Vegas, Miami, and Austin, Texas are going to bring, too many different flares to that Sunday morning race walk. And I do like hearing them announcing kilometers per hour and hearing them kind of forget and switch to miles per hour on Sunday. Oh, yeah, that's 120 miles per hour on Sunday. It just feels a little weird. I'm like, just keep it normal.
Well, look at take a look at the broadcasts now, right?
Yeah.
How different broadcast for Formula One is now. Now they have miles per hour and kilometers, right?
Yeah.
I agree. I think the essence of Formula One is it has to stay global. It can't centralize to America because that is why F1 is so great. I think I've mentioned in previous episodes, one of my most favorite things is when there's a couple of new drivers and it's really difficult to pronounce the names. There was a time when people couldn't pronounce Verstappen, and look at it now. And that's part of F1. Like, oh, yep, this guy's come from Venezuela or something. It's the world talent that it's been found. Like, these are the top drivers in the world, and what would be really sad if it became, here are the top drivers in America. It still needs to be completely global.
It's a
So
proper world tournament. The only thing close to this is Street Fighter. You get a little bit from everybody in the world. Not since Street Fighter 2 have I seen this kind of worldly event.
Very well said.
That they fly across the world to battle each other. But yeah, no, it is one of the few, to me, worldly sports. It kind of, I'm trying to think of. You guys had one in Adelaide, right? Did you have an Adelaide Grand Prix, or was always?
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
until our arch rivals Melbourne decided to sweep along and take it from us. So the ongoing feud between South Australia and Victoria continues. But it's like New Yorkers versus New Jerseyans over here. It's so if we're going to give it to any other state around Australia, Victoria's the worst one to give it to. So we're still pining for it to come back to Adelaide one day.
I'm rooting for you guys. I hope it makes it out there. But Vegas. I'm hoping that we get sponsored. This podcast gets sponsored by Trojan Condoms, so we can fly out to Vegas and record an episode there next year. Fingers crossed, guys.
I would love to, from Caesar's Palace, just overlooking the Strip.
From the roulette tables at Caesar's Palace. Peter has lost all his life savings, and we're here recording live.
He's about to lose his shirt.
Quick question. This has one of the longer straights, right? Out of all the tracks. So this is going to be one of the faster tracks, right?
Yeah.
It looks like it could be.
Okay.
There was a upload of a video game whereabouts they've actually put the track in, and it looks quite interesting actually, because turn 4 is giving me Sochi turn 3 vibes. That long sweeping corner, you just build up speed around it, and that straight. You're right, Ray. It is mammoth. They're looking to hit 340 k's an hour.
200. Looks like it says so. You got a 3.8 mile long circuit. But it has 3 main straights, 14 corners. Top speeds would reach 212 miles per hour. And I'm not converting that, guys. I'm not. It's 212 miles per hour, and that's it.
3
No, that's. I'm trying to think. Is Azerbaijan, is that the longest straight on the calendar currently?
Yeah, it probably would be. But there's small kinks in before you get to that really long straight though, so you do build up a lot of speed. But due to the nature of Azerbaijan, you can't run a low downforce. I think the highest top speed is Mexico due to the thin air there. I think Bottas hit 370k.
Yeah, that's insane. Actually, thank you to all our listeners. I've had some feedback from some friends that Gio, myself, and Pete and Ray, I'm not sure about yourself, do a bit of online racing and gaming. And some friends have asked me to put the experience of driving some of those tracks myself into this podcast. And what I can say about Azerbaijan, to confirm your comments, Pete, is it is an absolute nightmare, that track. It's just harsh wall barriers, and there's the particular castle section that I don't know how they do it in real life. It's like literally a car width to go through that corner, and it's pretty damn hard. It's terrible. So I handed to the drivers about that. And Gio, how do you find the gaming on the F1 with those tracks?
Don't bring me into this. I haven't since we've had some online gaming sessions a few years ago. I don't think I've ever been able to bounce back. It's one of the hardest racing simulator games, a Formula One game. It does show you the intricacies of corners and the different tracks and stuff. I would know more if I ever made it past a lap without spinning out, or causing chaos right in the beginning of every race. I wish I had more insight there. I do. Every time we talk about it, I do want to dive back in and download this game, and then so I can know these tracks a little more.
So
but I think
what
I'm also getting.
Sorry, what I'm hearing is you drive like Roman Grosjean. First lap nutcase.
Exactly. Yeah, Mega Maniac. Because I'm used to playing like Gran Turismo, or like these kind of games that kind of already give you a little handicap, so you don't have to brake on turns. you use other cars.
Use other cars.
You use other cars to make the turn for you, and you realize. And if you have like the sensitivity on the Formula One. You tap any car, you're hitting pins.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll re-download the game, and then I'll do a session. I'll upload a session to the podcast so you guys can take a look for the people watching on YouTube. You can see how amazing I am.
Well, to the listeners, let us know. We're happy to set this up and do a championship and show our absolute talents of racing. So it is a bit of a mixed bag.
We do have to pick that up again, man. That was fun. There was like a few of us on there. A friend of mine here from the States played with us that one time. Remember David?
Right.
David played with us. So he'd be down. We got to get Ray in on it.
Oh, I'm
Bring
down.
it on. Pete, we have to convince Pete.
When they launch crossplay.
What's that, Pete?
Hey, they got to bring out
crossplay.
crossplay.
I was just about to say that. Yeah,
they got to bring in crossplay.
Crossplay because Pete's a PC gamer, not a PS5 gamer. PS4.
But also, you know what's apparent while we were racing these games is I'm playing on a controller. About half of you guys were playing on an actual you had a whole rig in your house, and I know this because you can hear it in the headset. You can hear the clunk of the turning and
he's like shifting real gears.
Yeah, you would hear it like it wasn't fair, and I'm over here trying to maneuver on I'm like
that noise
vibrating.
Yeah, that's for what. You heard the vibrations. I'm like, what is that? Like, oh yeah, no, it's my rig and my steering wheel. Like, oh,
there's a sim Christian Horner like in the back. Box.
Too true.
Leave me alone. I know what I'm doing.
Spoken by the good words of Kimi Räikkönen.
Now, obviously, I mean, we shared our thoughts on Vegas. We did pass, we had a pretty eventful April Fools that passed us with a lot of fake announcements and retirements. You never know what to believe when you hop on social media, period. But April Fools makes it that much worse. Did you guys see any fake announcements that made your heart stop?
I've got one which I absolutely loved. Announcement: Mercedes to start using Ferrari engines as of 2023.
I mean, we might need to.
Sorry, what's that?
I didn't say anything.
Man, I did see Danny Ricciardo retiring on April 1st. That was
okay.
one. That one kind of felt true for a second, based on his early season performance, and like, as it's hard to bounce back from a downward slope in your career, right? And that's kind of has been his trajectory, right? With that big gamble, jumping ship from Red Bull, already kind of knowing the ascension of Max was coming, right? He was, I guess, smart enough to know that, like, I have to move somewhere. I think the Renault year was kind of a waste.
2.
Was it a year or 2?
Yeah.
2 years.
2 years. And then, and McLaren, right? Off to a rocky start. And I saw this announcement. I'm like, oh, I had to remind myself it was April 1st. But he also showed massive excitement around the Vegas Grand Prix. So, he's not going anywhere. This guy's sticking around just to race in Vegas.
Too true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One that struck
Yeah, I think I
fear
saw
into my
one
heart.
about Gasly. Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Oh, no, you can go, Pete.
One that struck fear into my heart was Ron Dennis returning.
Oh, if only.
I had to.
That was funny.
So, to give you a bit of background, Ron Dennis was the former head of McLaren, and he was very peculiar, to say the least. Isn't
Very
that
well
right,
said,
Will?
Pete. Very well said. Attention to detail much?
Was he not good?
Oh, he was good.
Ron Dennis was very successful over the years, in particular at McLaren. He was just very OCD. Like, if there was a tile in the McLaren showroom that was a slight different color to the rest, or there was a crack, it had to be, either all completely redone, or, they find a tile of exactly the same color. He was just very, very articulate. And he was also managing Alan Prost and Ayrton Senna in the golden era of Formula One. So he was the team principal, while those two pretty much created the popularity of Formula One to where it is, at least to the European world. So he was the McLaren team boss at that time. And that would have been a very, very difficult time to manage both those drivers at the same team.
Yeah, so I've found out recently.
Yeah. So he's been very successful. But in the latter years of McLaren, he sort of stepped aside for Martin Whitmarsh to take over, and he sort of took a back seat. And then when Zach Brown came along, that's when Ron Dennis was sort of moved on, and Zach Brown came in, and McLaren is what it is today now because of Zach Brown. So yeah.
Zach Brown has I saw a picture of him with a growing little beard. I don't know if that's an older photo, but I was like, this works for you, Zach Brown, you soft-faced American boy. The beard worked. All right. Next race. We're going back to Melbourne. Australian race for you guys. Super excited, I'm sure. I don't know the course too much. What can we expect from this race, right? Like what makes Melbourne a good spot for Formula One?
You want to go, Pete? Or
Ooh. Well, actually, Melbourne's changing a bit this year. So a few of the corners have been widened, but most importantly, they've pretty much removed a whole entire chicane complex. So corners 9 and 10 have completely disappeared, and now it's one long back straight. And this year, they're going to have 4 DRS zones.
wow.
Oh, I did see that on Twitter.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun for Max and Charles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And K-Mag and Hamilton.
Yeah, that's right. How much? The lap time's obviously going to be smashed this year as well. Previous lap time held by Schumacher, I think it is. 1 minute 24.1 by
correct.
Schumacher back in 2004. But I think that's going to be absolutely smashed this year. So it'll be interesting to see what it is.
Yep. Also, as
Predictions?
well, the pit is not as much of a penalty. It's gone up from 60 k's to 80 k's per hour. So, before taking a pit stop in Melbourne was a big penalty. So most teams only did a one-stop race. Being a faster track, they might do 2 stops now.
Right. I'm just going to say it is so amazing to think that 30 years ago, there wasn't a speed limit in the pit lane. So there were Formula One cars doing 200 k's down the pit lane into the pits. Until there's a few incidents where wheels would fall off the cars and go flying into the pit crews, that they thought, this isn't necessarily very safe. So in came the speed limits.
But I do sense frustration if I watch a live race. I kind of feel the tension behind a slow pit release. It has to feel some kind of way that another car is coming, and you're like, I have to stay within this limit before I get out of here. And even at that limit, you see people zooming in perfectly into their pit crew. And while one leaves, I'm like, I'm surprised there's not more accidents.
Yeah. The margin of error is so small.
You go, Pete.
Well, they have. Sorry, Will. They have actually sensors that detect how far forward, back, left, or right they've entered their pit stop at, and it's something that the drivers are measured on every time.
Oh wow!
So they're measured on how quickly they go from their speed into the pits down to the pit speed limit, and something that actually Mark Webber was very big on trying to mess with Seb's head about when they were in Red Bull together. He used to be a little bit better than Seb at it, and he always made sure to beat him every race weekend he could.
Yeah, 100%. And Ray, just to confirm what you're saying before too, that the chaos in the pits is some drivers have been known to not actually go to their own pit crew to stop. Just ask Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button over the years.
Really?
China?
I gotta look 13? That up.
I can't remember the specific races, but Jensen moved to another team and he went into his old team's pit stop and they sort of get out, clear off, get out. Went into the next one. So
I do have a technical question. I'm looking at the Australian Grand Prix, the circuit now. I see there's 2 DRS zones. And I see there's a speed trap. Can you explain what a speed trap is to me and our listeners? What is a speed trap?
Speed trap is just detects how fast they're going at that certain point. So, it's a bit like a red light camera for the F1 cars or speed camera. Mm-hmm. So it's this part of the trap they anticipate the cars are hitting their maximum speed.
And right before a turn, I see it's right.
Yeah,
there's a speed trap right before a little turn here. Was that
turn 1?
Yeah, it is right. Yeah.
Now, would having a higher speed at the speed trap indicate a faster lap at all times, or not always?
Yeah, good question. No. Not necessarily.
No, because you're coming in from the last couple corners, right? Depending on how you do on turn 15, or was it 13, 14, and 15, I believe.
I think it's really all about the balance of the car, because you might have a higher top speed, but that's because you might be running low downforce, which means that your lap may be slower overall, because you're fast on the straights but exceedingly slow around the corners. And that's what drivers constantly go on about, is getting the balance right. So it's not all about top speed. Maybe perhaps a track like Monza that is all straight line speeds and very few corners, where a car would tend to use a lot of a low downforce setting. But no, that's a brilliant question. And it's not necessarily all about the speed trap and top speed to be the fastest car around the track.
To expand further what Will said, in Brazil last year, we know Hamilton had that rocket ship of a car. Who had some of the top speed trap speeds? Mazepin.
Yeah.
And in Jeddah, the Mercedes-powered engines had the top speeds in the speed traps, but they weren't anywhere in the corners. Will is 100% right. You need a balance, because if you go for too high downforce, you're not going to have the top speeds on the straights. But if you go for too high of a top speed, you're generally not generating the downforce required to make the corners. And that's why that's F1 cars are some of the fastest cars around the world. It's not their top speeds. Indy cars are faster than them. It's the downforce they generate that makes them go around the corners at faster speeds.
That's why when you see like the safety car and they're only going they're going around the track and they cut into the car and they're like booking it around the turn, and the F1 cars are just coasting, just casually
Very
behind them.
Speed up, safety drivers. Speed up.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, do you think there's any cars set up for an advantage for this track this weekend?
I personally think that Red Bull, Adrian Newey, the chief designer at Red Bull, usually has a very good aerodynamic car, the way he designs it. So they've always known to be very good at the downforce and the handling. So I don't know. It's all going to be different this year because Melbourne's basically being unlocked to be a very high-speed, fast track. So that could all change. But over the years, Red Bull's been quite good. Then McLaren's been quite good over the years in Melbourne as well. So I think anything's possible this year. I don't have any predictions at this moment in time because the track's changing. So, hang on. That's a key play with the Mercedes, the porpoising dolphin. I reckon they're going to start becoming fast now. That's my secret gem, I reckon. Jury's out.
And Will is hosting a Melbourne Grand Prix watch party. So if any Adelaide listeners who don't know Will, please reach out to the podcast and ask if he can invite you. I already know he has a couple kegs ordered, and
are you really having a watch party?
Pete's coming, and we've got a whole lot of things set up, including a time trial challenge on the racing steering wheel pedals in the game. We've got it's all nicely decked out and kitted up with everything everywhere, so it's going to be a huge weekend.
Oh my! That sounds so much fun.
So much fun, man. We are at time-ish, right? So I think we'll if Pete, you have any news you want to share with us before we start our sign off?
Yeah, one bit of news and two rumors. First piece of news: Alonso's on his third internal combustion engine for the year. So in Alpine's push for more power, he's been hit by reliability problems. He had a failure in Bahrain, and he also had a pump failure in Jeddah, which Alpine weren't able to fix in time back at home base. So he's on his third engine. If he takes another one, he'll be taking grid drops. Two rumours. Audi has put a massive bid into McLaren to take a stake into the team. Volkswagen Group car manufacturers looking to join in on F1. Apparently the bid is $700 million plus. And Porsche are looking to take over Red Bull powertrains and become a key part of Red Bull's success in the future.
It's not fair,
man. I don't want Porsche to be in back or in Formula One because I know that the gear or the apparel is going to be so obnoxious. Like I don't want to see people walking around with Porsche. Porsche Red. You said Red Bull, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, it would be a disaster.
In every gas station, they're just going to be everywhere.
Do you remember the Puma racing shoe craze years ago? And this was like when we were in college. I actually worked retail at a Puma store with a couple of best friends, and then that was like no one. I didn't like them, but Europeans flooded the Puma store for these Puma racing shoes. And it used to blow my mind. Like, why would you wear these flat things?
Dude, I still wear them. What are you talking about?
Hideous.
They're horrible.
I mean, I now own a pair and love them. Well, and I'm now you don't know anything. These are racing shoes.
Yeah. Ray refuses to drive without his Puma racing shoes now.
They're apparently worth 2 tenths.
Well, that's it. I'm going to wear my Pumas this Formula One weekend, and I'm going to send you a photo of them.
You know what I told my wife in the car the other day, and this reminded me of Pete because it was kind of like a horrible, like it was a dad joke, and it was raining. It was raining. I was like, perfect day for some perfect day for some slick tires, huh? Or I forgot what I said. I was like what kind of tires do you recommend for this weather, hon? And she just looked at me like, I will kick you out of this car. I have to stop.
So, Will, if Daniel Ricciardo gets on the podium,
oh yes, and I'll do it from my Pumas too.
Have to.
Oh, you saying will I do it, or will Dan Ricciardo do it, or will both of us do it? I will do it.
You do it.
You have to record it. We'll put it on the TikTok.
That sounds like a physical challenge.
Done.
Please. Yeah. There we go. If Danny Ricciardo makes the podium, I'll go nuts. I mean, that'd be great, but
same.
Yeah. I mean, if Lewis Hamilton gets pole, I'll skydive.
Well, Daniel Ricciardo,
you're gonna do that anyway. I think you're gonna go skydive anyway.
Well, Daniel Ricciardo was robbed of his first podium in Australia.
This is true. 2014.
All right.
2014.
Yeah.
And then
2014.
We were there. That's right. That's right.
That's big.
First race of the turbo hybrid era. Daniel Ricciardo finishes second. Kevin Magnussen finishes third. Rosberg finishes first. But Ricciardo gets disqualified because Red Bull put too much fuel through to the engine and exceeded the fuel flow weight.
Oh.
Wow.
Bad way to go.
Well,
yeah.
We hope he'll get back there this time. But I think you guys ready to wrap it up?
Yeah. Ray, send us away.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you all for watching The Paddock, a Formula One podcast for new fans and the familiar. You can find us on all the major streaming apps. So please share your predictions, thoughts, comments with us, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you after the next race. All right.